My biggest reason to make this film was definitely when I read the script, I immediately connected with Cam. I felt so much empathy for her, so much admiration. I felt really challenged. I think as an actor, you always want to find a material that feels challenging. I felt very terrified by the material given the time and place that we're in the world right now, playing an EMT. So that was very, scary and daunting, but also felt an incredible a huge calling to make this happen and have this character come to life with me. I've always thought, and especially because this movie occurs in Los Angeles, I see a lot of Latino frontline responders and a lot of, either it's cops, frontline responders, and I felt like it was an incredible opportunity to play a Latinx or Latina character that was embodied in an incredible light, a woman that was relentless, that would do anything for someone else, that she would sacrifice her life. It was just something that really elevated my culture. And even though I don't necessarily have to speak Spanish in order to do that, it felt like a great opportunity to honor my Latinx, people out there that I know they're out there fighting every day for other people's lives. So I'm really honored. And then obviously being able to work with this level of cast and director was very, very exciting. I've been a huge fan of every single person in this project. And so it was a dream come true. It was a learning curve and it was a lot of tough moments throughout the film, but it was really worth it. Yeah, it's really interesting because I learned through Cam's experience and living in her body how, inherently people that dedicate their lives to other people's lives, to save other people's lives, are just inherently ingrained with something different. It's this, selfless, just relentless mentality. And I feel like the moment that we see a glimpse of her just sort of losing her composure when she gets the doors open on her and she's sort of in shock, but then she quickly bounces back because she knows that someone's life is on the line and it's on her and her only for this person to survive. And I just fell in love with her immediately, the way that she just has some superhero dust to her that I just don't. And I felt like I learned so much through her and I felt really honored because, it was a very magical role, and seeing how she, grows in her arc throughout the film and how she starts in a very dark place where she sort of lost sense of reality because, of course, these people are in fight or flight mode. When you're seeing so much sadness every day, you sort of disconnect with emotions. And we see a Cam re-engaging with emotions as we go on in this film and sort of rekindling her passion for what she does. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful project to be part of. I really prepared for this. I had a long period of time between filming and getting the job, so I felt a lot of pressure, I won't lie, a lot of responsibility. It was, I prepped from the end of last year and we filmed all the beginning of this year, and so it was in the peak of the pandemic. And I just really felt a lot of responsibility, more than ever. It's the role that I've felt more responsibility in my life. And I just wanted to make sure that nothing that I did felt off or wrong, and it felt like the correct thing that they would do. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, which maybe is good or bad. I guess it's for the audiences to decide, but I prepared. I really did. I was shadowing an EMT. I was jumping in an ambulance. At the time, it was really hard to get ambulances, because it was in the peak of the pandemic, so there was none. And so I had to rent this van so I could get accustomed to flying in the back, but I have all these technical things to do. I have to put an IV. I have to make sure that all the things that I'm connecting to his body are in the right way, the counting, the CPR, the way that we use the things in the ambulance, getting accustomed to the ambulance. So it was a long a long prep. And I spoke to surgeons consistently so I could be very clear how I would go through the procedure of the surgery. So it was it's just a humongous learning experience. And now, I can administrate IVs perfectly. I feel like I could do it in my sleep. Because I had an arm in my house and I would do it. I would close my eyes and I would do it. And I go through like literally going through the beats and I would time myself. I would make sure that I was doing it in the right time. It was just, because also, you know, the way that we introduce Cam is that she's the best at what she does. So that's already like really hard, because already being an EMT is really, really, really hard. Then being the best at it becomes really daunting. But I hope that people see it. And I felt selfishly, I remember watching it the first time and I was terrified of not feeling like she was good at what she did. And I remember seeing the first moment that I see her do the things, and it was cool. It was like an outer experience of outer body. I could see the character without seeing myself and just really zeroed in. And I felt really proud because I really focused on making everything feel organic and natural to her. I think that what I really found interesting about this script specifically was the character dynamic between them three. It's really what sustains the whole film. Obviously, it's an action film and we are sort of engaged into what will happen. But I think that what becomes really interesting as an audience is when you start seeing the complexity of all these characters sort of finding each other. And I found I really wanted to go down a route where like Cam is a character that sort of moves quickly through things, because I inherently feel like people who are EMTs and are under a lot of stress consistently become really good at that. So as you see, she's not as shocked as she should, but also EMTs are not trained to what would you do if you become a hostage. So I really wanted to work with the fear of her life, but also someone who is fearless to lose her life because that's what they do for a living, and therefore she would be willing to do anything to save someone's life. So that thin line between fear and fearless, fear and fearless. And it was scary. And, but eventually you start seeing that she recognizes that fear in others. And I think that she sees it in Danny. And there's scenes that even though Danny looks like such a wild card and she would definitely be scared of him, I think she sees through him and she sees his fear and she tries to connect with him, and so does she do the same with Will. So the dynamic in between the characters is really interesting, and she really cares about Will, and therefore we start seeing her really want to help him. Working with Jake was a dream come true. I've always been a humongous Jake Gyllenhaal fan. I've watched probably most of his films, and I've always found him one of the best of our generation. And I was really, you know, I think that for me as an actress, I always want to work with really good actors because it really challenges me to be better. I always walk in terrified because I think that I do not deserve to be there. But it's always amazing when you're on a set with someone who's throwing so many different things at you and you sort of have to play the game. And I think that to me, that was, I was feeling really, really excited about that, and at the same time terrified. But it was great. You know, Jake is always coming to set willing to play and do something different, and also cares a lot about the director, which is really important, and cares about the other actors, and understands that it takes two to tango, and the better that the other person is, the better the scene is in totality. So, you know, it was an amazing experience, and I love the different dynamics between Danny and Cam, and Danny and Will and Cam, and it just was a really fun experience. And I am so grateful that Jake was, you know, I'm always learning from him, watching him on screen. He's always fearless of playing something new and different. I think EIza is so absolutely talented. I think that EIza holds a cool to him that is inherently in EIza that brings a lot of groundness to Will. Will feels collected and calm, even though he's going through a really hard time in his life, and he's trying to figure out, and sort of he's a victim of the system. And by the way, I think that all the characters, what makes this film very interesting is that we come to realize that everyone is just trying to survive, and we are all in a shape or form victims of a system that doesn't let us live better and have a better life. And so you see three very different characters sort of struggling with a very similar situation, but coming at it in completely different ways. And I felt like Will's transition and the way that EIza carries his role is very full of, there's so much heart to Will. There's so much, weirdly, you're rooting for him the entire time, and you feel like he really cares, and he feels deeply. And that juxtaposition against Danny is really interesting. It creates a very interesting dynamic. It's not trying to compete with each other, and you're watching two really good characters and two really good actors go at their craft in their best way possible, being directed by one of the best action directors in the world. I mean, he's really... You say Michael Bay around the world and everyone knows who Michael Bay is. You know, when you are a director on that level, that you have such a staple, that people recognize your work, that know what you're really good at, it's inherently, you know, it's incredible, because I think that Michael is just someone that has hustled and worked his way up and really found a way in the business with talent and showing that he had something to offer that other people didn't have. And I think that he's proven it over and over again that he's the king of action. You know, the way he works with camera, he still is operating camera consistently. The way he lights, the way he shoots, and paired with an incredible script like this one, I think that it was a gift, because this was more of there's a lot of action, obviously, in this film as an action film, but there's a lot of character study within the film. And I think that those things paired together is incredible. And I learned a lot about Michael, you know, and Michael is a wild card, and you don't really know what you're going to get every day on set with him. He keeps you on your toes as a director, and it really forces you to be better, to be prepared, to be ready, and present, very present. You know, we would jump from one scene to the other, and he's always playing, you know, he's like a child. He'll go out and grab a camera and record the sky or the wall, or he's always creating. It's always fun to be around people that feel inspired all time. It was great. I mean, it was a hard film. It was definitely a film where we, you know, it was in the middle of a pandemic, pre-vaccine, so we had to be incredibly careful and very safe, and it was great because we never had any scares on set, but we were, you know, it didn't allow a lot of like socializing the way that usually on a set you do when you're filming. You have all this like downtime that you get to hang out, but we were separated a lot because of COVID regulations. So, but we did. I mean, this movie is just, if you don't find levity while filming, it can get really heavy. And especially for my character, she's really going through high stress throughout the whole film. Either she's hyperventilating, or someone's dying and she's hyperventilating, trying to save someone. It's just a lot of... I realized that it was more physically tolling than I realized, that I thought it was going to be. Definitely. So, but Jake has such a great sense of humor, and so does EIza. So, yeah, we would poke fun at each other a lot, and at Michael, shockingly. I joke around a lot with Michael. I give him a hard time because I'm tough as nails, and he likes that too. And so he likes a little bit of spice of this Latina, so I would give him a little bit of a bite, and it was fun. We got along very well. It was a very emotional film to watch. I've always been curious, and I want to see what the audiences feel, but I sobbed a lot. I was sobbing. You know, this was a really cathartic film for all of us, I think. It was just in very unprecedented times when we were doing it. We were all really scared, but also passionate about our work and really just pushing through and forward to create an optimism. And we were going to set with all our, you know, after being locked. It was the first film I did after the lockdown, and I hadn't been working for a long time. So I was really passionate, and I was coming in, you know, really hot, and I really wanted to do the best work. So I feel like you're always scared as an actor watching a movie, because you're always feeling that you're going to be the loose link that is going to ruin the film and you're never going to work again. And I just felt, you know, I cried a lot at the end. I didn't know if because it finally felt like a closure to a process that was a lot, and mentally, physically, and everything challenging. So, but I'm hoping that the audiences feel the same way and cry and connect with the characters in a deep way. I think it could have been a little bit personal, or the movie itself. I don't know. It'll be for the audiences to say. But I feel very proud of this project and everyone that has been involved in it, from hair to makeup to stunts to our camera crew. Everyone was working so hard in this project, and we are so grateful. So I really hope that audiences go to watch it in the movie theaters, because a lot of people were working for you guys to bring entertainment for you and to feel that happiness and thrilling emotion that we felt 3 years ago, and we can reconnect with movie making and movie fantasy.